Welcome to Speed Bump Garage. My name is Kent, and this week actually, I'd planned on filming you guys a new video on our 64 Mercury Comet. We have one video on it already. Jack, my oldest son, and I actually got the car running on the first video. And it's kind of just sit here since. We haven't driven it yet other than just in and out of the shop. But we have not put a test drive on it yet. I'm super excited for it, but we had some stuff come up this week. Today is actually Friday, but Monday evening, we had a massive wildfire fire up a few miles from here. And the majority of the week, the wind was in our favor here at our property. We weren't threatened until, I guess it was probably Wednesday. Wednesday afternoon, we had a bad wind shift that started pushing the fire towards our property, towards my shop. And let me show you what kind of fuel that fire would have if it got into our area here. So my shop is completely surrounded by trees, and that's really cedar infested right there. And as you can see, we're completely surrounded by trees, and we were nervous. I was gonna film Wednesday. That fire had me nervous all day. The wind shifted towards us. So I didn't really know what to do. I called and I had drivers for all the vehicles. I got fresh batteries and everything. Basically, I had all my buddies. I said, hey, bring a friend, bring whatever. If this fire gets on my property, everybody jump in a car and drive. Because I know they're just material possessions, but these old cars are so great, and I'm passionate about them. So the majority of them that ran, we were good on. The Mercury, I know, could have drove out of here. The Bug could have drove out of here. My 60 station wagon could have drove out of here. The one thing that I couldn't really get out, well, another thing, I started loading up some of my shop equipment that would be hard to replace. So I grabbed all my welding machines, my porta-cooler, just kind of whatever. I didn't throw my TIG machine on that trailer because it's so dang heavy, and that was going to be a last minute thing, was to throw the TIG welder on there. But a little bit of a panic mode. We're trying to get everything ready and on the trailer where it could drive out. Had plenty of help, plenty of awesome friends that were willing to come help. Fortunately, we didn't end up needing to take any of it out of here, but the shop's kind of a wreck now. And like I said, the cars that could drive, obviously we could get them out of here easily. So I had to make a decision. I have one car trailer, and I hooked the car trailer up to my pickup, and I had to make a decision. Which car would I drag out of here if there's gonna be a fire? I had the ability to save one vehicle. And the more I thought about it, it's a car you guys haven't seen. And it made me think, you know what? If this car is so special to me, and I have such a history with this car, it ought to be able to drive out of here on its own. So I wanted to take this opportunity to introduce you guys to a car for two reasons. One, I want you guys to hold me accountable. I've got to get this car running. I broke it a few years ago, put it under a car cover, and kind of forgot about it. Before we go out there and look at it, I do need to say thank you so much to our local firemen and our non-local firemen. This little town here where we live, Mooreland, Oklahoma, the fire department is volunteer, and these guys fought almost a week straight. Some of them, I heard, were going on 40-some hours with no sleep. So those guys saved a ton of people around here. They saved a ton of homes. I think I heard over 20,000 acres burned, and these guys didn't lose a single home. I think they lost some outbuildings and a few other things. But those guys got in there, and they fought their butts off, and that's a debt we will never be able to repay to them. They did have lots of help, a lot of the surrounding communities. I don't have a clue how many departments responded to that thing, but I bet it was 30 or 40. Every fire department in Northwest Oklahoma, Southern Kansas, everybody responded to this thing. They fought it. They had it most of the way out, and as luck would have it, this morning, we've had over an inch of rain this morning, and I just heard fire's out. Those guys are good to go. I'm sure they're exhausted. I'm so happy they can go back to their families. And like I said, a debt we'll never be able to repay. Those guys, I know they had a tough week. They did an awesome job. I was scared for my shop, but realistically, I think those guys probably would have got in there and done everything they could to save it. Lots of people, life stopped this week, and everybody dropped what they had and fought this fire, and it is now out. I couldn't be happier. So let's go check the car out. Car cover was still intact when I put it on the trailer, pulled it out to the driveway, and the wind got so bad it ripped the car cover in half. But here it is. We've got a 68 Buick Skylark, and I'll pull the cover off of it completely here in a minute, but this is kind of the forgotten GMA body. Love this car, guys. This was my great-grandmother who homesteaded on this property, bought this car brand new in 1968. Now, it didn't look like this. It looked like this. I'll try to crop in some pictures in the video. But anyways, my great-grandmother bought this car brand new, drove it, obviously I wasn't around, drove it till I don't know when, but my memory as a child, this car was always parked. I guess at some point my mother drove it and she hauled my older brother and I around in this when we were babies, toddlers. I do not remember that. What I do remember is this car being parked under a lean-to up there. It was brown and it was just always there. I was a little kid. I thought it looked kind of cool. Obviously, this iconic body line here, you know, the Chevelles, Cutlasses, GTOs, they've all got that flow right there that just kind of says muscle car. So I knew it looked cool. I didn't know what it was. So come time, teenage years, I'm probably 13, my brother's 14. We decided that this was going to be his first car. Let me get the tripod and I will tell you guys the whole story. As I said, great-grandma bought the car brand new, which she's since passed. I'm happy to have it. That just makes it that much more special. Fast forward, you've got a couple of teenage boys that are, my brother is 13 months older than me, and he was ready to find something to drive. And what's cooler, at this time it's probably 2001-ish, and not much is cooler for a first car than a muscle car. And we decided to drag this car back to our house, and our stepdad at the time was a mechanic, and a dang good mechanic. And a lot of you ask how I learned the things that I know, and he's responsible for a lot of it. He's the one that gave me the confidence to be able to take something apart. And when I was younger and he was still around, I always kind of thought, you know, if I get this apart and can't fix it, his name's Gary, I kind of always thought Gary will be able to help me fix it. So I was never afraid to take something apart. It was frustrating for him when we broke stuff all the time, and he was always having to help us fix it. But anyways, Gary helped us bring the car home. He helped us get it running. It had been sitting for probably 10, 12 years at that time. And sorry about the wind and the rain. We may have to go inside to finish this. But anyways, we got it running, and it was time to try to get it painted. Let me back up a minute. Gary, when we got this running, like I said, it was a brown Buick, and I'll try to put those up on the screen. Gary taught us what a power brake burnout was in this car, and that was a life-changing moment for us boys. Gary, he was just a big kid with all of us, and he showed us how to power brake this car, and it had little skinny bi-splies on it, and we just thought it was the coolest thing ever. Gary's doing a burnout in it right there. So this car is responsible probably for this channel, honestly. This is the first thing we got to get our hands on other than lawnmowers and go-karts. First V8 power, life-changing. And that day right there, seeing this thing roll smoke off one tire, one bi-spli tire, and learning what a power brake burnout was, life-changing. This car is responsible for so much. I do own this car right now. My brother moved away a few years ago and gave it to me, but this really isn't my car. This is my car. This is my brother's car. This is Jack's car. This is AJ's car, my boys. It doesn't matter who owns it, when in our family. This car will never leave our family. So for that reason, this is what I was gonna save. That's why it's on the trailer behind my old 88 F-150. If that fire got back here, we were gonna skip town with the old Buick on the trailer. Let's get the cover off here. I'll let you guys get a better look at it. And then we'll talk about a couple teenage boys learning how to do body work and finally getting a paint job on this thing where we thought it was the coolest car in town. So you can't tell it now, but back in 2002, maybe earlier than that, probably closer to 2000. This car had a really nice looking silver paint job on it. Just a couple of kids learning how to do body work, and we actually got it pretty straight. Our stepdad Gary helped us get it straight, and then we paid a body shop to spray the silver on it. Since then, it's sat outside for a lot of years. Clear coat's coming off of it. It's got some rust showing up. Just needs some attention. It's been neglected. There we go. So like I said, we did silver with black racing stripes. And when I say we, mostly my brother. This was his first car. I'll actually throw up a little picture of his senior picture with this car here. At the time, after we did the body work and had it painted, this was a 350 two-barrel car with a power glide. Now, that was fun for a while. My brother's name is Curtis. Curtis was ready for more horsepower pretty soon, and he upgraded it to a 4-barrel, and that was enough power for a high school kid. And since then, it's been broke down. He ended up putting a turbo 350 in it, and then he had some engine issues probably about 2005, and it set until 2015. So 2005 to 2015, this car sat outside uncovered, and that's why it looks the way it does. All the clear coat's gone. It had a bunch of new rust spots show up, which we're probably responsible for some of those because we didn't really know what we were doing when we were doing the body work. I'm sure we covered up some stuff that is now a rust spot, but we can address those. But fast forward to 2015, little Jack, my oldest boy, is 6 years old at that time. I'll throw some pictures up here. My brother left town that year, gave us the car, and Jack and I pulled the engine out of it. At the time, it had a blown engine, and we did a quick rebuild on it. I can't remember exactly what all we did. I know I'd had the heads done, did pistons, bearings, put what we thought was good stuff in it. And I'm no professional engine builder. I can disassemble and assemble one, but I'm not an expert on making big power, but we made big enough power and got it together. Had a lot of fun with it. Did a couple burnout contests. I'll throw a quick video up here. It's an older video from 2016-ish of a burnout with this car.
Give me a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Wow.
Yeah, it did a decent burnout, and little did I know the burnout would be the death of this car. I don't have any video of it, but I was doing a burnout contest locally for a fundraiser, actually for the local fire department here. And they pulled the time limit on the last round, and I went a little bit too long, and I threw a rod through the block. So the old 350 Buick has a big hole in it right now. And what I think happened, and I don't know because I haven't taken it apart, this 350 Buick is much lighter than a 350 Chevy. Everything's little in it. It's got little bitty rods in it. Just doesn't weigh anything. The castings aren't great, but it ran really good. Another thing, it only held 4 quarts of oil, which when I put it together, I just couldn't believe it. That's not hardly any oil. And right before it blew, I was watching my gauges, and I seen that oil pressure start to drop, which was probably bearings wearing out, running out of oil. You got that little volume of oil, and then boom, it came apart. And I wish I had a video of it. Jack was actually with me. He was 7-ish at the time, and it's said ever since because we are at a dilemma of what to go back with. We'll talk more about that because I need you guys to help me make that decision, but let's do a quick walk around to the car. I'll show you what kind of shape it's in, and you guys can help me decide what to do with it and what engine we're going to go back with. So let's look at it, and then we'll talk about options. Silver with black racing stripes, and you can see all the clear coat on the top of it. It's pretty much gone. It did get a little wet today with a little rain. Got the iconic Buick Sweeping body line here. The flow like a GM8 body should. Like I said, this is a 68 Skylark. My brother did put the GSX wing on it. It's not supposed to have that wing. And honestly, I think I'll take that off if we do anything with it. I think it looks a little better without the wing. It's got good dual exhaust on it. It's got a 12 bolt out of a Chevelle, so it's got a good rear end. It'll do a posi burnout now, as you saw in the clip. These are actually Buick Grand National wheels that a guy gave me. They need a little cleaning up, but I like the way they look on there, especially with the white letters. We have some rust showing up here. That definitely needs addressed. Here, I did some rust prevention here. I went ahead and coated this with rubber, so that hopefully that doesn't rust. Got enough rubber on it. This thing had a white vinyl top on it. I don't remember doing any body work here, but that was probably a little bit rusty when we painted it, and we just didn't do a good enough job taking care of it. But as you can see, all the clear coat's gone off the top of it. It's had some mice in it. Just kind of needs cleaned up. But the seats are in good shape. Bench seat. Kind of dirty. I actually haven't been in it for several years, so. That's the old Buick. And I hope this story made sense. I've got such a long history with this car. I don't know that I made enough sense of it for you guys to connect the dots. At the end of the day, it's a car that my family has a long history with that needs to be on the road. There's the Buick 350 that I built in 2015. And you probably can't see it, but definitely a big hole in the block down there. A lot of good parts still though. And let's talk about options for going back together with this. It's got a new turbo 350 in it. It has the Buick bell housing. Good headers, intake, really cool cast valve covers. It's starting to rain again, so let's run inside and we'll finish this conversation in there. Buick 350, not the most popular of small blocks. Obviously not super tough. I threw a rod through the side of one of them. But I did buy a 71-ish Buick Lesabre with another Buick 350 factory 4-barrel car, and it is right here. I bought this car right after I blew that engine up. Have not had it running, so one option is going to be we'll do a will it run on this car to see what kind of shape it's in. Maybe, hopefully it's in good shape, and we'll maybe re-ring it, throw some bearings in it, put it in the Buick. That is our easiest, cheapest, in my opinion, best option. Now Jack, that's not what he wants to do. We got to take all opinions into account here because this is a family car. It's not just my car. I have a 5.3 and a 4L60 two-wheel drive LS, the evil LS swap, and it's up there. Jack wants to LS swap it. I don't know that I'm willing to walk away from the nostalgia of the carbureted small block Buick. You know, even if we put the Buick back in there and eventually try to do some fuel injection on it, I don't know. So it's decision making time, and I wouldn't typically show you guys a project before we're ready to get started on it, but I want to know your input on it. Do you guys like the 350 Buick idea? Do you want to see the 5.3 LS go in it, which not as pocketbook friendly probably as the 350 Buick? And before everybody comments, 455 Buick, I've been looking, you just can't find one. And when you do find them, they're super expensive. So I'm not sure that's even an option. So let me know what engine you think we ought to go with in the old Buick. And also, what else should we do to the car? It's a family car. It means a lot more than any other car you've seen on the channel. All these other ones are gonna come and go. That one is gonna be around here for a long time. So let me know what you think we should do to it. That car's on the chopping block next. We're gonna get the Comet running where we can use it, have fun with it. Then the Buick's gonna come in the shop. So guys, kind of a different video today. I hope it made sense to you. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one, probably on the Comet. See you then.